Welcome, everyone, to the next Svelte Radio podcast. We have some interesting topics for you today. A new version of MD Specs, some new courses, and other fun stuff. But we'll start with self-introductions. So I'm thinking maybe, Sean, you go first.
Hi, this is Sean calling in from Singapore. I don't know if we're doing super short introductions.
Yeah,
I mean,
me neither. So what do you do? You're writing a book, right?
Right. I'm now a couple weeks into my new job at AWS. Still kind of learning the ropes, working on AWS Amplify, which is sort of like backend for front-end developers. It's pretty exciting. We don't have Svelte support yet, but I just got an issue this week requesting for it, and it'd be interesting to work on that. I mean, no promises though.
Yeah, I'm actually using AWS Amplify in the Svelte project, so I can.
Oh, really? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll probably show you.
Cool.
All right.
I'm Anthony, and I'm the CTO of Beyond, which is a sort of software provider for travel industry. And I'm also a Svelte maintainer, and sort of co-organizer of the Svelte Society. That's about it, really.
All right. Nice. And I'm Kevin. I run Svelte School, a small site that tries to teach people interesting things about Svelte. And I also work at a company called BuddyBase, where we build a low-code tool for using Svelte. So that's interesting.
Nice.
All right. I guess that's it. Let's get started.
Cool.
So we want to talk about MD Specs, new version.
Do we have a Sapper thing before that? What's up with Sapper?
Yeah, sorry.
Is it alive? Is it dead? What's going on?
Yeah, Anthony, do you have any news for us?
I mean, I guess the news is Sapper was never really not. It was never gone, therefore it can never come back. But it's there's been a bit more activity on Sapper. I guess there's no particular reason. There's no rhyme nor reason really. It's just it needed a bit of love. A few bigger PRs have been merged. One which had been kind of outstanding for quite a long time. There's a company that seemed to have quite a large product which has got 70,000 pages, I think, or something. Mm. And they were taking it over an hour to build their site, to export a static site. So one of their PRs was to sort of parallelize and make more efficient the export process. And I mean, obviously, like it's very hard to get this PR through because, granted, they did all the work, but we have nothing like that to test it against. So we can't really say for our own, our own selves whether it does or doesn't make a difference. I ran it on one of my sites and it seemed a little bit quicker. I looked through the PR, I reviewed it, and there's nothing sort of that's not innocuous in there. It looks reasonable. I know that Conjure likes to understand every single component of every PR, which is kind of his value. But I think that the issue being that without understanding every single element of it, the user base of Svelte and Sapper is quite large. So it's a big every commit, every line, every bit of code is a big risk really. So yeah, it takes a little longer to get these things through, but it got through and it's good and people seem to love it, and hopefully we'll get a few new big ones like that through as well. And yeah, so we need to just have a discussion about how we get some of these bigger chunky bits of work through. But yeah, a lot of PRs closed just in the last couple of weeks or so, and it's very exciting and gets people quite ramped up about it. So it's good.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it too. I had to fork Sapper to incorporate it into SSG just because it solved a lot of the race conditions for static site building. Only to find that there's another race condition which I cannot track down. Anyway, but it's good to see progress because I mean I hope I don't know if they actually got back on that PR. But they clearly use it in production at fairly big scale. So
yeah, I think they're using a fork, so hopefully they can switch to the real thing now.
Yeah. Cool. That's it for Sapper. MD specs.
Yeah. What is MD specs? Anyone
Oh,
wanna...
I mean, so I've been more involved, I guess, on this one just because I chatted a lot with Penguin. He has a real name. I don't know what it is, but
Peter?
whatever.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
It's still Penguin, and basically it's Markdown as Svelte components or Svelte in Markdown, and I think I prefer to think of it as Markdown as Svelte. So Markdown is everyone knows Markdown. It's a superset of HTML, and Svelte is a superset of HTML. So what MD Specs actually does is that it lets you write Markdown with HTML with Svelte in it, and that converts to a single Svelte component. This was a major rewrite because it was working in the past, but we wanted some convenience features. So, for example, if you wanted to bring in some layout templates, like to not only to lay out the overall MD specs component, but then also to customize individual like H1 elements, A links and all that. You couldn't really do that. Like it just directly converted. Like if you wrote a link in Markdown, it will convert to a link, like an A tag with no classes, no customizations in HTML. So this actually lets you sort of customize all of that. So it's pretty useful. I'm actually using it for my my book site, which I'm still working on because I haven't launched because I had to delay it because of current affairs. But I think it's a major upgrade. Actually, honestly, I don't know why it's not version 1 because it was fairly comprehensive. He worked on a very nice looking doc site with a very cute penguin. So I thought nice. It was version one worthy, but it's up to him.
Yeah, I'm using it.
Sorry. I'm sorry, Karen.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you reminded me when you said why is it version 1? There's definitely an aversion to major version numbers, which is kind of throughout all of software, I think, but it also seems to affect sort of SAPR and things like that as well. But I'll go into a bit more detail later. But
okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, so I use MD specs for Svelte School, using like a number of different layouts actually, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. It works very well, especially so you can have like in MD specs you can have front matter, right? Mm-hmm. And it fits quite nicely actually with Routify, because you can have metadata embedded in the pages in Routify as well. So you can pretty much have both of them synced up to the front matter. So Routify lets you pretty much get metadata from other pages in a way using certain helpers. It works out really well.
Yeah. I honestly, so I use MDX from the React ecosystem for like a couple years. And I like MD Specs a lot better just because it has the niceties of Svelte, which is like I can add in styles and it's pretty straightforward to make it work. I don't think the dev tools support MD Specs yet, so you don't have like the IntelliSense and all that. But I guess that's for future work.
Yeah. All right. Anything more on MD Specs?
No, not on MD Specs directly. I mean, it's a great product. I'd love to use it more, and I don't use it at all. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to really investigate it. But yeah, it's something I think it's just an incredible tool, and I think and I'm not 100% sure, it might be used in the new Svench, the storybook type thing for Svelte.
Yeah.
Potentially used in that, but I'm not 100% sure.
No, they are.
Cool. We're using, so that's a perfect scenario.
Yeah, we're using Svench for a package at Buddybase to do like global styles for different products. Nice. Works really well. Very nice project as well. A bit on the early adopter side though. Of course.
Yeah, but I'm looking at this Svench README. It says this is very much a work in progress. Actually, it's still a little more than a proof of concept for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty much storybook but built in Svelte.
Yeah.
without the cruft.
Honestly,
It's really nice.
I like Storybook should be Storybooks for Svelte because they try to be framework agnostic.
Yeah.
But they've just got so bloated and so slow.
Yeah.
That's the problem with it. Yeah.
I much prefer just to work on our own. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Cool.
standalone
So
REPL. Whose item is this?
So I slipped this one in here because I thought it's really, really important. So for a long time, people have asked how you get the Svelte REPL in your own site. And, you know, it's always been a standalone project. It's always been available, but it's really hard to implement, to sort of integrate in its current state. And it wasn't documented. And so it's generally a matter of, well, sort of figure it out for yourself. And it's quite difficult to figure out how to host it because it's quite a complex product. And it's a shame because it's really useful to stick in your blogs and stuff to have this live Svelte environment right in your blog where you can demonstrate concepts and things. So I think last week, somebody has opened a PR it shows a fully set up and working standalone REPL. And it's actually as part of the REPL project itself. So anyone who goes to that project can find that. So it needs a few little bits of cleanup to make it properly isolated from the REPL itself, but it's good to go. It's available if you want to put the REPL in your blog now. You can probably figure out how from that PR, and hopefully this week we'll get it merged, and then there'll be a proper documented way of getting that running. Because, you know, certain people, let's say Penguin, have put it in their presentations, which has been super impressive. Yeah. I thought I'll do the same thing, and then I gave up after like an hour of trying because it is quite a difficult thing to do.
I added it to Svelte School, and I pretty much just I looked at his BriskTalk slides where he has the REPL, and I pretty much copied it over.
Yeah.
That's amazing that we all copy each other's work. It's pretty nice to see, actually.
It's the what's it, the purest form of flattery or something, isn't it?
Imitation, yeah.
Imitation,
well, you know, one of the things. So, you know, this is gonna come off like a little bit unappreciative, but I like Monaco. Like I like the VS Code editor experience with the autocomplete, with like nice tabbing and all that. So I've always been like a little bit unhappy with the Svelte REPL. Like I wish it had like, you know, prettifying. I wish it had a bunch of like things. I don't know if like we need to swap out the I don't know what editor, like, you know, library it uses.
I think it uses is it Replit or something? It uses one of these.
No, Replit?
Maybe it's not Replit. I don't know. I recognize the name of it.
Yeah, Replit's like a hosted REPL.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's the case. I don't know how up they are on updates and how well maintained the project is that runs it.
Right.
But yeah, we could build language tools into it now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, who knows? But I mean, you know, like you said, you may sound inappreciative. I can understand the frustration for somebody who relies on autocomplete. I don't personally, so I don't really see that need. But I do know that the REPL is probably one of the main reasons I use Svelte, because I literally build entire parts of my site in the REPL just because it's so quick, and there isn't really that much HMR right now or anything like HMR. I build big components of my site in the REPL and I stick them back. And it actually has another side benefit in that if I build it in the REPL, I usually build it in a very isolated way. Mm-hmm. And I'm more likely to then publish that as a completely separate open source library before I put it in my project, and then dog food that project myself. So actually, you know, there's a lot of benefits in the REPL as well. But yeah, totally appreciate your point on how, you know, it could be better, right? Everything.
Well, when it gets split out, I'll be, you know, maybe easier, because I'm actually fairly familiar with Monaco for just because of random projects, so I might be able to contribute that. Maybe cool. Have a different version. We'll see how things go. But yeah, all right. Next item, front end masters. Ooh, I think we were all here for that.
Yeah. Did you guys watch it?
Yeah.
I watched most of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't paying full attention. I was actually working while the thing was going, but it was still great to watch the whole thing. It was like he started at 9, he ended at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. So I guess it was how many hours? Like 9 hours?
Yeah,
it was a long time. So
it's a monstrous effort.
But before we start discussing it, we can probably say what it is to people. So Rich Harris did a front end master's course on Svelte, pretty much. I guess that's the only intro we need to do.
I think it's pretty worth explaining, because this isn't just a regular presentation. It's not a webinar. It's not a screencast or anything. This was actually a live classroom of people, right? And the people were obviously remote because of the COVID thing, but there was a live classroom of people on Zoom, I think, that he was teaching one-on-one almost, but whilst broadcasting and pre-recording the whole thing for a course that we published on the web. But what this meant was it was a full day course, and I think that you could see how tired he was getting by even the second segment. I was kind of feeling for him, because he was looking really tired.
Poor guy.
I struggle to do a 30-minute presentation on something that I've kind of know in and out and recited. He's doing this, is teaching at the same time as talking about something he's built. He went through the whole tutorial, then he had 3 projects to build on top of that. Funny story is, actually, he asked for recommendations, I think 2 days before the course, what to use for the database, what to use for hosting, all this really critical stuff, right? And I recommended the 3 things that I used because I know them kind of in and out. And he ended up using all of them, which is great, but it kind of made me almost like, okay, this is all my fault now if something goes wrong. And an hour before he was due to start the course, he's like, okay, the cell's now giving me 502, it's not deploying, help. And so I had to kind of like do a bit of investigation with him, looking through logs and stuff. We figured out the issue in the end. It was just config wasn't being picked up, but I was like, that was like absolute panic mode there. Like, 2 days before he was building this app. So it's crazy, absolutely crazy. But yeah. So it's quite a feat. Everything about it seems to be quite a feat. And I think that doing a 9-hour stretch of non-stop presentation is something that's just, I think, beyond my comprehension. It's hard to put it.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people can actually manage that well.
No.
No. I'm usually tired after just doing like a meetup talk.
Yeah, I've done a 4-hour workshop before, and that's quite a lot to get through. But I don't know. Anyway, it's his framework. He can talk all day about it. But,
sure,
very true.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was also a big like sort of coming of age event for Svelte, just because front end masters is fairly picky about the kind of technologies it chooses to feature, and then I'm sure it's also like the starting point for a lot of people. So I think there were a couple hundred in that workshop, and then obviously more people online who are unregistered and just watching. So that was, I don't know. I think that's a good event. And from now on, we'll have something official from Rich. I don't think we ever had that before. So that's in the bag.
Yeah, that's very cool. This podcast needs to have like a referral link for front end masters, doesn't it? So
yeah, maybe they want to sponsor.
Yeah.
Speaking of
we
sponsors,
can reach out to Mark.
I'm going to do a little segment here. So we're looking for companies to sponsor this podcast so we can get the production value up a bit. So if you're interested, you can contact me. I'm in the Svelte Society Discord. Yeah, all right. That's sweet. That's my spiel.
Yeah, that would very much be appreciated. I think we, as a essential sort of community thing for, like, we're doing this as out of our free time. I think the community kind of deserves higher production value, especially like us like figuring out audio issues is just like, it just makes me feel uncomfortable because like I want to contribute like technical value, but then also we have to figure out all these like production quality stuff as well.
And we have changed the video casting software like 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
Tried them all.
All right. Meetups.
Cool. Meetups. So there's a French event. So I think Well, I think it's set in July. I don't think there's a date yet. But Karine Sabatier and Anthony Lagoa. So the way to get involved in this is to get in on the Svelte Society French channel, and they are looking for speakers, and I think they're looking for a date as well. But they're pretty sure that they want to hold it in July. I think they want to make it not just a meetup, but like something slightly bigger, like with with a schedule and like conference like kind of like his French Svelte Society Day. But I don't really know any specifics. But if you want to get involved in the French event, and kick things off, and I think the Discord is probably the place to go. Does anyone know any other details they want to add in?
I haven't heard anything other than the when we first talked about it, like on the Discord, pretty much.
Cool.
I don't know much about these talks in other countries. Like, is the French meetup expecting only French talks, or do they have English talks as well?
I don't know.
Okay.
No clue.
I mean, I think it would be most useful if it was just purely one language, just so that we could get more content. Like,
Sure.
there was this Svelte Brazil talk meetup recently, and it was all Portuguese, right? And I thought that's going to be good for them. We need to get in touch with Russia. I'm sure they're still having events. We just don't know about it.
Yeah, there was that guy who was pretty active earlier on. I haven't heard from him much recently, but I would assume that their events were huge in Russia. So
yeah, we should reach out.
All right, let's follow up on that.
All right, Amsterdam meetup. I was going to talk. Had to cancel, unfortunately. But you did a talk, right, Sean?
I did. It was on. Well, first of all, so I think it was Shershin. I don't know his. I think his real name is like Mikhail, and he's actually a fairly sort of organizer, which is better than me. So he did like tech checks with everyone, and had slides, and had just had the format down. Like, he's a very experienced organizer. And so I think he normally organizes Svelte Amsterdam, and he wanted to take it online. So there was me and one other guy in the end. So the other guy, I forget his name, but he talks about his experience converting his company's app to Svelte, and that's on the Svelte Society YouTube. And for me, I talked about the just like showing people how to use Svelte preprocessors, how to write one from scratch, and that's because that's the most recent thing I worked on in the MVP recipes repo, which is still a thing. Oh, by the way, I need to talk to you, Kev, about let's make that a site. That's
yes.
Yeah,
we have a
cool.
fair amount of content now. We started the MVP recipes repo a couple months ago, just to just get content. But I think now we have some. It's time to publish them and make them more widely known. But yeah, that was the meetup. I think it's a good thing to keep going, and to have different organizers organize independent events. I think that's something that we want to do in Svelte Society, which is we're not a central organizer of meetups. We help people organize their own meetups, so that nobody has too much of a burden either way. So I think it's good to have these independent events coming up.
Yeah, I like them as well.
Yeah, I think that's a nice service as well, actually. Actually, I've just moved a little one of our agenda items up a bit here, because your talk about Sherston, I can't pronounce his name. His name is Sherston. He actually messaged me earlier in the week about the OS Awards. So it's JavaScript Awards for I can't remember how they phrase it exactly, but basically game-changing things in the last year. And Svelte has been nominated as one of the top 5 in terms of frameworks and languages. So if you go to the OS Awards site and go /JavaScript, we'll send the link out in the podcast. But you can actually vote, I believe, on Svelte as it. If you go to the homepage, you have to scroll on the carousel to the right one, because Svelte's the 5th item, which is a bit annoying, but it's up there, it's on there, so you can go ahead and vote for that. If you think it's good, which I assume you do, listen to this podcast.
Wait, I don't see it. It's only 4 projects.
It's a carousel. It's a really annoying carousel with a little
What? No,
side.
I just
it's-
don't see it at all.
Hang on, let me just get the exact instructions here. So if you go to 2020 nominees, you've got Alpine Tailwind 11T Dino,
Oh,
and you click
this
right
is-
one at the top. That's so annoying, huh? So
okay, Svelte is not going to make it.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, talk about a bias here, right? I've got a very
Yeah.
wide screen and I can't see Svelte on it.
It's not. There's a max width, right? So you have to click the right button. This is such a bad design.
Yeah, I don't know whether this is the actual voting part or this is just the nominees or what, but yeah, they should really fix that. They should really fix that.
Yeah.
But I think what you can do is you can just stick the GitHub URL in that box at the top, and maybe that adds a vote or something. I don't know.
No. Okay, I'll figure this out. Hang on, because I'm not happy with that. That's not the way to do this. I'm gonna go on the official Svelte Twitter. I'm pretty sure that the Svelte Twitter account tweeted about it. Breakthrough of the year.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no,
okay.
there are no instructions.
No instructions. So they just. I'm not putting the OS Awards site on an awards site. Not at this rate.
Yeah. Okay. I'm really not sure how to use this. How to do this? Maybe they just have judges. They don't have it's not a popular vote.
Yeah, it could also be like the votes haven't started yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it says June 2020 though, and it says ceremony location is in a church. So who knows?
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm gonna check the URL in there just to see what happens. But I don't. Yeah, I don't see anything happening. So
if anyone knows how to use this site, just like write in, add a comment or something.
This is a usability fail.
This is.
I mean, it looks great. It just doesn't work.
No.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no words.
Should we move on?
Sure. Quickly.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Okay, so Svelte actions.
RFC actions. Yeah, the RFC for
your baby.
actions.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So this is an RFC I wrote for getting some default actions into Svelte, much like transitions. There's not really much to it. It's pretty much just adding these actions to Svelte, like the package itself, I guess. Figuring out which ones should go in. I read something about so Penguin was he commented and said there's actually something called Svelte gestures, which isn't really something that's I don't know activated yet, if that makes sense, or if it's even going to be used. So I think figuring out like the right actions to put in here is quite valuable, but it's also quite hard to know what actions people actually use, because it differs quite widely between what kind of project you're building. Like I've mostly used actions for input enhancement, so like selecting text, validation, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've done something quite similar. I like the idea of built-in actions. The reason being, I guess it's kind of a bit of prior art people can look at and understand how actions really work. But also, a lot of the Svelte code base is quite complicated because it's a compiler, whereas the actions wouldn't be, anything to do with that. They'd be almost like little individual snippets of JavaScript. So that would be beneficial, and people could actually they're a bit more accessible to people, I think.
Yeah, the current way of teaching actions on the tutorial is, I think, starting out with that. As it is now, it's like a drag example, right?
Yeah.
And that's super complicated for what an actual action actually is, right?
Yeah.
But I think actually the second example after that, which shows some other concept, is like a really small action that should probably be before the drag one, but I don't know. So like some of the useful ones is probably like long press. So you can listen to easily to long presses, or maybe click outside. So I'm looking at your comment here, Sean. And I personally like the lazy load one. So lazy loading images, for example.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a really valuable one as well, actually.
Yeah. It's like, it's one of those things that you kind of almost always want it, right? And it's a pain to add it yourself often. Well, it takes some time. It's not hard, but right. And I think a guy called Christian also posted like a bunch of actions that he uses in his project. Mostly, it seemed like they were to do with like key presses and enabling things like hitting escape would close a modal or an input field or something like that. So those are also things we can.
I think a lot of all the validation on Beyonc is actually using actions. And I would publish all of that because I'm pretty happy with the way it works right now. But there are certain things that mean that I couldn't necessarily say they'd make official actions, such as it's still quite difficult to, if you've got a list that you can add items to, it's quite difficult to use my actions to validate issues added to that list. I've got a kind of manual workaround right now, but if I could solve that problem, I would definitely contribute my entire validation library, in fact, because it's pretty smooth. Where it works is pretty smooth.
Yeah. One problem with this is keeping them general enough, but also specific enough at the same time, kind of, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. So, I also agree that it's going to be useful to have official actions. It's just a question of what do we include. It's kind of like a weird thing where this is a little bit more general than transitions. So whereas for transitions, like, okay, fly, slide, whatever, like that's fairly easy. These are very common things that people want. Whereas the proposed one that Christian proposed, for example, like blur on escape, like how many actions are we going to have, that like we probably want like an on escape action, and then people can attach like a blur functionality. But then if we make that so general, then why don't just people write it themselves as bindings to individual elements? So these are the things that are unresolved for me. So actually, I think I like Svelte as one of these like optional components, and they can compiled in, or they don't have to be used. Like we theoretically have an infinite capacity to add in first party stuff. And so obviously we're not going to do that. We're not going to massively increase the API surface area. So actually the more important thing to decide before we decide what goes in is we decide how do things go in, like what's the criteria, because we might do one round right now, but then, a couple of months down the road, someone else might come along with some new idea, and we need a criteria to run it through. So I've been more interested in governance and like in establishing criteria that makes us consistent, which I guess now we're in the bike shitting phase of, because I don't know myself. Yeah.
I think also it's keeping them simple has a value in that if we're creating actions that are part of an official sort of library, we have to be cognizant that basically if we enhance or change one of those actions, that becomes a breaking change.
Right.
So yeah, governance is especially important around them, but keeping them simple enough that it reduces that surface area for things to be drastically different in a newer version would be very useful.
I'm very biased towards like things that it would take me quite a few lines of code, and I'll probably still get wrong to do. So like the gesture stuff, the long press stuff, like I think like anything cross-platformy that basically everybody needs, and the platform does, the web or the DOM APIs don't provide for you. I think that'd be great to use it as an action.
Sure.
Oh, Rich also prototyped one with form submissions. So we I got into this mode of like progressive enhancement, because actions only run after the component mounts.
Yep.
So we can actually write HTML that works normally and then swap it out with client-side JS once the JS loads. So that's a perf focused action as well. I don't know if we want that right away, but I think that's an interesting use case.
That is interesting, actually. It's made me think, because I've got this library, right, that does asynchronous loading of JavaScript libraries, external JavaScript libraries, with the view that it doesn't slow your page down. It only loads a library when you load that component, and also it only loads that library once if it detects a certain condition, like something beyond on the window object. It won't reload that library. I think that could make a very good action, in fact, and I think it's something that people don't commonly use it because they don't understand the reason behind it, but I've used it for everything on my site now, because it's just, Lighthouse is going to penalize you if you're loading Stripe or if you're loading Intercom or something when the page loads, even though it's the default way to do it, because it's factoring in Intercom's. They've got quite a large bundle of JavaScript, and it's all kind of like minified and stuff, but it's quite a huge bundle of JavaScript, and you get penalized in Lighthouse for loading that. So yeah, I think it would definitely be useful to have that as an action, like I've got it on my site, so that only when you're on a page that has the Intercom widget does that library start to load.
Cool.
Sounds good.
All right, I think that's that for actions.
Cool.
Yeah. So what's this about Pancake.js being on TV?
Yeah. So, so Hillary Clinton, of all people, has tweeted a graph of how COVID cases are growing in the United States versus how they're sort of recovering everywhere else. Obviously not the world's best, hurrah, look at these graphs thing, but still they are Rich Harris's Svelte graphs nonetheless. It's the sort of first instance of Svelte being on TV that I'm aware of. And Rich has retweeted that, so we'll send a link to that tweet as well. But yeah, so there you go. Svelte's on TV, and also Hillary Clinton herself is pushing Svelte. I mean, if you don't, that is the ultimate, right? That is the ultimate endorsement.
Perfect.
Yeah. So pancake graphs, by the way, just for sort of backstory here, pancake graphs are, I think they're Rich's graph library using Svelte, so a native Svelte graph library. It's kind of early stage, but obviously they are in production. They are used, and I actually want to start using them soon because they look pretty good. I've used Chartist in the past for Svelte, which worked really well, but obviously having a native Svelte solution sounds even better because you can describe your graph hopefully in components, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I think one of the main selling points is also that it works without JavaScript, right? So I think you'll get like all the axes and all the aspect ratios will be good even when you don't have JavaScript.
Interesting.
If I remember correctly.
And it's done, I think, purely with SVG and it's some cool trick with which I don't really understand because I don't write SVG by hand. So Rich actually introduced this in one of the Svelte NYC meetups, and I actually have a recording of that. So I've gone and put it in the show notes. It's on the Svelte Society YouTube. And what's funny is that so the name Pancake was preceded by the sort of original library that he based it on, which is created by another New York Times employee who also created another graphing library called Layer Cake.
Wow.
Basically, they don't like using each other's tools, so they just make their own.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny because they both presented, and then they're like, okay, these are like the same thing.
They both presented at the same meetup?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But obviously, like, people only care about the Pancake one because it's a Svelte meetup and that's Rich's thing.
Right.
So
Yeah. What
But if you're interested in the difference, I mean, obviously these guys they care a lot about the tools that they use to do data viz, and obviously they're the best in the world at it. So it's worth checking out these individual projects and seeing whether that's a fit for you. But I'll be honest, I haven't had a need for it. But I if there's something that suits that use case, and I want it to look as nice as New York Times graphics, I would definitely reach for that.
Nice.
Yep.
Right. Honestly, like dashboards, like anyone building dashboards, they need some sort of data viz.
And I built quite a large dashboard with, it's not a significant following on GitHub, but it's got a fair few users. And I didn't, Pancake didn't exist at the time because I wrote it in Svelte 1, I think, and then moved to Svelte 2. But yeah, perfect use case. Yeah, it's definitely an upgrade. It's something that's been on my mind for a while, but yeah, the whole architecture needs to change because we're all serverless now and all sorts of stuff. I actually rebuilt a prototype in serverless, and it sort of works well, but it's really expensive to run because every single graph update is a different serverless request.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, back to the drawing board on that one, I think.
All right. Svelte in production.
Oh yeah, I think this could be a regular segment. We'll try to look out for Svelte production use cases. And I'm trying to feature that on the Twitter for Svelte Society, just to show people that real life use cases. So this is pretty big. JS Party, which is one of those big JS podcasts, their most recent episode talked about using Svelte in production, and it was on pace.dev. That's the URL, but then also their pace.dev, spelled out on Twitter. And it's a project management tool. I'm on the site. It looks pretty good. And they talked a bit about how the decision process for like choosing a front-end framework and their experience working with it. And it just looks good. Like I like seeing people use Svelte in production. So
yeah, I listened to this podcast as well, and I think they're not
JS people.
Yeah, exactly. They're Go people, right? And so I think they have their backend in Go, and I'm not sure exactly how it works, how they pass like state and stuff. They're probably smart enough to
REST APIs and what have you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So like I think it's a cool side project, and maybe it's not a side project at all. I don't actually know whether it's a side project or like a main deal.
I think it's a main thing.
Okay. But yeah, I actually like their chemistry, and I thought they're pretty funny actually. So because they're how like there's two sort of co-founders, and then like they make fun of each other. I think it's pretty fun to listen to. So I'll definitely go listen to that podcast. And then the other Svelte production case that I think Rich Harris also featured this, which is the new Kingdom Hearts website, which I've never played. I know it's a big deal, but I'm not a huge gamer. But the new Kingdom Hearts website uses Svelte, and we have proof because we inspected the website.
Is this the Disney / Square Enix thing?
Yeah.
I was going to mention that. That's quite a big one as well. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, it seems like a lot of their games actually use Svelte.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Also, probably worth mentioning here. I was looking for that tweet just to mention actually that, but I've noticed that Gun database GunDB has actually now added official Svelte support, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I've heard a lot of things about Gun.
I don't think I've ever heard about it. Is it?
No.
What kind of?
I mean, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I believe it's a distributed database.
Oh. Okay.
Gun.eco, so gun.eco. I think the guy who is the kind of the founder of the project is he's quite an activist. He's quite into his world saving and stuff like that. So that's probably why it's on an eco domain.
Yeah. I didn't even know there was an eco domain.
I didn't even know.
Apparently there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this looks impressive.
Very.
Yeah. And it uses Svelte, huh?
It does. Well, it now can, yeah.
Oh, and it uses Tailwind.
Oh yeah.
I'm just inspecting the site.
Oh yeah, the site itself maybe, but I think the actual database itself has now actual Svelte support. I don't know how. I think it's one of these front-endy databases, so it's kind of tied in like Firebase and stuff.
Yeah, perfect, awesome,
cool.
Okay. What else do we have?
So we have a small showcase thing. I guess this could also be a segment, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, go
This
for it.
is pretty much just taken from the Svelte Discord's
Oh, yeah.
showcase channel. So there's a new project called Jungle JS, which is supposed to be some kind of a Gatsby or Gridsome thing for Svelte. I don't know the progress of it, but might be something to check out. I guess you guys haven't heard about it, or
This is first. This is my first hearing about it. It'll be great because then I don't have to make my own site. But it looks very new.
Yes,
this
for
is
sure.
definitely early stage.
Yeah, I mean, it calls itself the Jamstack static site framework for Svelte. I mean, if you're into Jamstack, then maybe this is something that you can jump on and contribute to, because it is in that it's in that stage where it's making its decisions about how to be built.
So I'm looking at the source code. It is a 309 line index.js file. That's the source code. And I think it does some sort of reading of different file types, and then gives you a GraphQL layer. So I think it's definitely into that that whole Gatsby GraphQL element. Huh. Interesting.
Cool. Yeah,
I don't know what else to think about it. Like my original vision for static sites was a bit simpler than that. Basically, like we need a default layer for like Svelte docs. I think that'd be nice to get to. Markdown to site,
Yeah.
Anyway, Jungle.js. That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. And then the other one I thought was pretty cool was this Unicode lookup thing. So it's basically a static Unicode lookup web app that uses web workers. So
very fancy.
Yeah,
I type in Rocket. I type in Rocket and it gives me the Unicode code points and then a bunch of square boxes. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I wonder what the square boxes are.
Well, I think that's when
we don't have rendering for that in the current browser, right?
Yeah, right. I guess the fonts on your system, whatever fonts you're using, doesn't have those characters.
Right.
Often the case when I think Mac users type things, emojis, and then no one else can see them.
Okay. So that's pretty much it, I think.
All right. Anyone have? Shall we do picks?
I don't have any. I've been way too busy to look at anything at all.
Yeah, I did have one. I forgot to write it down. But if you have one, Sean, go ahead, and I might remember one. Meanwhile,
I mean, I don't have an item, but I have a lifestyle recommendation, which is get a monitor. I just got an external monitor, and it sits above the laptop. And I have an external keyboard, and I think it's just better for ergonomics. It makes you sit up straight. Like I put books under the monitor. Some of you, I think maybe you might have like a mounted arm thing, but I just put books on the under monitor, and then I immediately don't hunch over as much. And I think that's important for ergonomics. Like we got to take care of our bodies, right?
I completely agree.
Yeah. Do you have arm things, or what do you guys have?
I have two monitors. Sorry, Karen.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I have one of those monitor arm things. Works great. Totally recommend it. I guess yeah. Go ahead.
No, Karen.
Yeah. So I guess it makes you less mobile, right? Since you can't really carry around your monitor, and you get really used to having several monitors very quickly. At least I do. I hate working on like my laptop without the monitors.
Yeah, I can't do it. I just can't do it at all. As I said, the setup is very similar to what Sean says. Having the monitors, I've got them on an arm. I've got two monitors on an arm, and having the top of the monitor in line with your eye line is apparently how you should have it. And it makes you sit up straight. I had a little tool called Alumi. I think it's called Alumi or something, Sadly, they've gone bust now, I think. But it's a little tool that you stick, you magnetize to your clothes, and if you hunch over, it buzzes at you.
Oh.
So it means that it's got like a little gravity sensor in it, so it helps you always sit up right, and it just reminds you if you start to lean, it won't buzz, it will just kind of make little pip feelings for you, and if you continue to hunch, then it will buzz.
So it's like
it
a
keeps
posture
you sat
thing.
up. It's basically a posture thing. Yeah, it's a shame because they've gone bust now, so the app's gone off the app store and stuff. You can't configure it anymore.
Oh no!
It's a pretty cool tool. It's quite a nice tool. I think they got acquired, and the company that acquired them just shut them down. So it's a shame.
Wait. So what is it? Do you call it a sensor?
Yeah, it's just like a little lithium battery in a little plastic case that has got a magnetized back, so you can put it on like a badge to your top, and then you say that's you in the upright position.
Now I want to buy it. And
I know.
And you can't.
It's such a shame. It's such a shame. I don't know. Maybe there's an equivalent. I don't know. But yeah. So I have that. I don't use it much anymore for many reasons, but I don't use it much anymore. But I've got 2 monitors on an arm. I've always had an external keyboard. Always using that. The ergonomic one, in fact, Microsoft ergonomic one, just because it's much more relaxing position on your wrists. It comes with a really weird mouse, but again, you get used to this. And this is a nice. It's a nice shape to hold it. It's like properly your hand is like that, you know. Right. And eBay, trawl eBay for Aeron chairs, going cheap. I got this Aeron top. It's got the nice back support and everything. It's got the new back support. It was 250 quid or 300 quid or something, which is not bad since if I bought this new when it came out, it would be 1,700 or 1,600 quid with the add-ons it's got.
That's crazy.
So, but it's. I mean, I certainly at work all the time, and it's the most beautiful chair to sit on. You don't get too warm because it's got a mesh. It's got nice arms. It's got arms that move in and out. So when you stand up, they move out of the way. It's really good.
I should get one.
It's an expensive chair, even secondhand off eBay, but the benefit to your back is just huge. You know, you can adjust the lumbar endlessly. It's really worth having. And
I need to invest in that.
Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sit on one for a bit. Go and find one to sit on, and you'll understand. And I think the other really important thing that I've got here, which I don't use as much as I should, is a standing desk. Again, this is an eBay purchase. I got it super cheap. They're about 500 quid new. This one cost me 150. It's fully electronic, so you just press a button, it rises up. You can do standing, sitting, whatever you want to do. My wife just got one for herself in the next room, and she's got a manual winder, and it's exactly the same. It's just a lot cheaper. But the manual winding, the amount of times you're going to make the desk up and down, it's worth having. So
yeah, and I can imagine like if you have like the manual wind, you won't do it as much, right?
I honestly think it makes no difference.
Okay.
I genuinely, the 5 seconds it takes you to hold a button down, because it's quite a slow movement. You might as well wind it. It literally makes no difference at all. Actually, right. I would, get whatever you want, but manual also fine. I would totally get a manual one after using a manual and an electronic. It's no difference.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I have a pick actually.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah. So I just yesterday I got my invite to this new email service by Basecamp called Hey, and I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. It's really nice.
Do you like it enough to pay $99 a year?
Yes, I think so.
Wow.
But I think I want my own domain. I don't want the Hey domain, because I want to own my actual like
email.
Yeah, exactly. Because I want to be able to move email providers if something happens, right?
Yeah.
I currently pay for Fastmail. I'm pretty satisfied there. But
what's the values of Fastmail? What sets them apart from Gmail?
So for me, it's just like, I think you have to pay in Gmail to get your own custom domain. At least that was the case at some point.
Yeah, you need to Google G Suite. Right.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty much the same cost if you go for a custom domain.
Right.
I just tried Fastmail. I honestly don't think it's I just tried it and I stuck with it pretty much. They have like aliases, so you can create unlimited aliases, but you can solve that in Gmail as well in other ways. So yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they are working on custom domains. Yeah, I think I was probably in the same batch as you. I also have an invite, and I actually I'm auctioning off my my Hey invite. So every person who joins gets 2 extra invites.
Oh, really?
So instead of giving it out, I was like the top 2 who donate to a good cause. So I have like a list of diversity in tech nonprofits that I spelled out, and I was like, top 2 who donate to these things will get the invite. So far I have about $500 that people have donated, and the top bid is $200.
That's great
for a Hey invite.
that's pretty cool. That's a nice idea. Yeah,
it's kind of like
might as well, like these are like frivolous things, but you might as well get it to a good cause.
I will totally donate any invites I get to that cause, because that sounds really good. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
All right, that's it. Well, that's another episode.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah. All right.